Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation, along with
CJ Liu from the Fired Up with CJ show.
Woohoo! If you've ever wanted more success and happiness in the new year, then do we have the Step Back and Get a Running Start show for you. Today we'll talk about stepping back, gaining perspective, getting lost, hitting the pause button, and letting the answers chase you down. That plus we'll talk about coasting in on fumes, taking time to recharge, setting intention with the solstice, going inward with the darkness, the power of reframing, nausea, cyclops action, sleeping with goggles, college happiness and love, elk in the backyard, jumping madness, and what in the world 2 mountains for the price of 1 has to do with anything. So welcome to our last show of the year, CJ. Are you ready to shine?
I am ready to shine.
Woohoo! Woohoo! How much energy do you feel like you have for the rest of the year?
I actually, if you had talked to me yesterday, I would say almost next to like negative 3/4 of a tank.
Yeah.
Today I feel a little bit better, but yesterday I had about 4 hours of sleep, and I'm a cyclops because I have literally operated on one eye. I have
That's
monovision.
right. You had one getting surgery or something coming up here.
Yeah, so I had LASIK about 10 to 15 years ago, and my sight as I've aged has gone down, so I can actually see nearsighted in one eye, and I was wearing a contact in the other eye, and I thought, okay, I'm okay with having one close and one far, so the concept is okay. So I decided to get LASIK, but I couldn't get LASIK. The only thing I could do is get PRK, which is slicing a little part of your eye out. And when they do that, the recovery is much, much longer, like 2 months of recovery. So I'm putting eye drops in every half an hour, and I'm taking these medicines that I literally feel like I'm nauseous all the time. So for the last 3 days, I've just been super nauseous after I take these medicines, but yet you're supposed to take these medicines because they help with the healing process. So that's my cyclops and healing and lack of sleep issue. Because I also, your tear ducts get really dry as a result of this. So they have a little plug that dissolves over 2 to 3 months inside my eye. And in order for you not to scratch this little tear duct plug in your eye out, you have to wear goggles. So you know those basketball goggles?
So you look like Dr. J or something when you go to sleep at night?
Yes. My kids have been like, oh, Mom looks like Dr. J because I have these goggles on. Do you know how uncomfortable it is to sleep with goggles across your eyes? So I haven't been sleeping well, and I feel nauseous, and I can only see out of one eye.
Well, you're a trooper for being here today, then.
Well, I'm just saying, I was in the worst possible mood last night, and then I was coaching my son on interviewing training, and he was really grouchy too. And I just thought, okay, I was getting super grouchy. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm super grouchy. And he's like, I don't want to talk to you. And I'm like, I don't think I'd want to talk to me either. So I went upstairs and I watched The Marvelous Miss Maisel. Have you ever seen that?
I have not. Can't say I have.
It's on Amazon Prime. It's so good. So I just watched a couple of those, got super calm, and then came down and helped him. But I realized that, and then interspersed throughout these things, I've had these beautiful meditations where I feel love. So it's just kind of like love in these meditations, and like in the other compartment of my life is just like feeling nauseous, being grumpy. So anyways, that's what my life has been like lately. It's kind of crazy.
So what are you doing? I want to talk a lot today about things we can do to set ourselves up for the new year. And I feel like we're all coming in coasting on fumes. We're recording this on solstice. I think this day to me is huge because the earth is, and I don't even know how much, I don't even know how to wrap my mind around how much the earth weighs. But this giant ball that we're all spinning on is coming to a halt. It's coming to a screeching halt. Right now, we're actually, as we're speaking, I think it's 3:15 my time that it actually literally stops.
Mm.
And then we'll shift and start to move back the other direction. And so to me, this time of year, where at least in the northern hemisphere is the darkest time, it's the time to go inward. It's the time when the earth stops for us to stop and to envision where we want to go as the earth starts to get moving again. So what are you doing to set yourself up or to step back or to envision or think about for the new year?
Mm. Well, you know what? I don't know if we talked about this last week. Did I tell you about how I made a shift in my curriculum?
Possibly. You may say it, and it may refresh my memory.
Okay, so I'm doing these workshops for the Small Business Association.
Mhm.
I was going to originally do 12, and then I thought, no, I don't want to do 12 because I really
This I
don't want to do.
recall.
Okay, that I don't. I cut them from 12 to 7,
Mhm.
and then I was going to do one on planning and things like that. And what I realized is that even though I have the skill set and experience and all these shows to back up how to like plan and organize and prioritize your life, I kind of don't want to do that. And I was writing the curriculum and I just could feel energy leaching out of me. And then I literally stopped and thought, I can't do this.
Mhm.
And I didn't really know why I couldn't do this, but I realized that at this point in my life, my mission, so to answer your question, my mission is to teach people a brand new way of working at work.
Mhm.
And it's about going to in the inside for seeking out answers.
I love
And
it.
so that's kind of my theme, I think, for next year for myself and for other people. How about you? What's your theme going in for the next year?
It's interesting you say theme because most people have, I call them delusions of grandeur. Not picking on anybody here, but we have these New Year's resolution where we think all of a sudden we're going to come into the new year, we're going to use pure willpower and grit and move mountains. And historically, for most of us, if we're human, myself included, they implode. But a theme, on the other hand, is more of a long-term thing. It's not, I'm going to instantly change everything and create a new pattern and it's going to have stick from minute number one. Instead, it's something we remind ourselves over and over, day in, day out. For ourselves, it's three pieces. It's leverage, it's framework or systems, depending on how you want to call it, and love. And what
Mm,
that means is we've been working one-to-one with people, with coaching, with everything. We want to reach one-to-many. We want to leverage what we're doing in coaching. We also want to grow the show at least 10x here in the next
mm,
year or so. Actually, we want way more than that. But we want to leverage the work to reach even more people. It requires more of a framework, more of systems in place, more of getting us out of the day-to-day tasks in order to do that. And so we get to put those systems in place, but also putting those systems and that framework in place and that dream team in place that we want to do will also allow us to step back, to spend more time, as you're saying, in the love, to spend more time loving each other, to spend more time in ourselves, journeying inward and outward, but not in the busyness.
mm,
So the theme really is love, but these pieces are going to help us to be able to step back from what I'm doing, allow things to go a little bit more on cruise control, have more time wealth, and reach more people. So
mm.
that's kind of the trifecta for the new year.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So mine would be going, helping people go inward,
Mhm.
um, focusing on doing that myself, being more still.
I love
So
it.
you'd be so proud of me. Today I was coaching with someone and we had this great idea of coming up with stories and basically people telling their stories, which is what this woman loves doing. And I said, well, and she said, but what we need is a broadcast studio. And I said, well, I actually know someone who has a broadcast studio and is looking for content.
Mhm.
So, and he's asked me to do the radio show, do the show live on his broadcast studio. And I just haven't brought myself to do it. And she said, well, maybe you should go contact him and go make that happen. And I was like, I can't. Like, I just have too many. I'm constantly have too many things on my plate. So keep on adding and adding new stuff seems crazy. And then right after talking to her, I went with my son to buy soup.
Mhm.
And in doing when I was waiting, and then I went to do a price check because they couldn't find the price for this tie. So I went from the check register all the way back to where I bought the tie. And when I went there, there's the guy with the studio. That was just
Da,
standing right.
da.
And part of me is like, oh, does this mean I have to do that? Like maybe spirit is asking me to do this. I'm like, ah. So it's about getting in tune with what spirit request is and what
Mhm.
ego's request is and going with the flow to making that happen. That's my other theme, is being spirit led, which has been my theme for a long time.
And that's been ours too. In fact, we ever since Maui, we are determined to understand and hear what spirit has to say, and only go with that flow, because anything else over time hurts too much. And sometimes hearing that is harder than others, and can be a real challenge. I'm speaking of recent events of ours, but so important to, if you have to, hit the brakes for almost as long as it takes until you can figure out or hear clearly what spirit is telling you. For ourselves, we are taking our first break, other than a 2-day or maybe a 3-day weekend to visit my family. Our first break since not just since we started the show, since 3 months before we went live and I started recording. So
Wow.
since summer of 2015, I haven't had more than a long weekend. And
Wow, Michael.
we're taking off from, this is recording on solstice, the 21st, from later today, minus a coaching session, and I still get to do my uploads, of course. So minus that, we're taking off till the 2nd.
Wow. Yay. I'm
So,
so happy for you.
woo! I'd raise my arms higher, but that gets into jumping madness. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I want the answers to come. So I was hoping I wouldn't go there, and universe is going to guide me there, even if I want to or not. We've been befuddled, or what's the word? I don't know, flummoxed. We've been flummoxed trying to figure out cars this week, and you know me well enough to know I don't usually like go out and buy bunches of stuff.
I thought it was Tesla. I
Well,
thought you were going to get a Tesla.
It is supposed to be a Tesla, but that gets into this whole flummoxing, and we'll get there in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to go slowly and have the answers chase me down. I'm calling it getting lost to find yourself. And this winter break, we want to hit the pause button enough that the answers come and chase us down, so that we can reinvent ourselves through the pause, because we're not receptive. I've got my hands clenched. We're not receptive to what the universe has to offer. And if we're go and holding on so tight. But if we let go, I don't like using the B word for bored, because then universe brings you a lot of stuff, including some 2x4s to keep it interesting. But if we just get lost and are open, I'm out here, I'm receptive, the universe has the opportunity to speak with you.
So you said that you are coasting on fumes.
Yeah.
While you were saying that, I was able to find a way to find out what the text message. So this is, what part of this is it all this setting intention with the solstice we've talked about, going inward with the darkness.
Yeah.
And then what's the car part of it?
Oh, I kept the car part out. I wasn't even going to go there today.
I know. I'm confused how this all fits in, but it must fit in because you went there. How do you think it fits in?
Well, it's interesting. I like to go slow and make decisions, or let them come to me. Our accountant said this is a fantastic opportunity. You get to get a vehicle before the end of the year, and this works for you very well numbers-wise. And then he left on vacation for Maui. And
It's going to be a used blue Tesla.
well,
It's coming your way.
I have no idea, CJ, because as much as I crank the numbers, I can't get it to work the same way he does. So it will either be a leap of faith that this will work as phenomenally as it looks, or I will pause, even though, and we've looked at more than the blue. What I've looked at is getting a yellow wrap for it. So
Yellow RAV4?
yellow wrap,
What's
wrapping
that?
the Tesla. It's putting a vinyl coating on it so that the vehicle looks like the color of my glasses.
Oh my God.
And it protects the paint. We live on dirt roads, so it protects the
Got
paint.
it.
Will it
Okay.
happen? I'm putting the odds actually down at 10% right now. I think the odds were 50 50 when we spoke, but it has been such a journey. I like these tests. Jessica does not like these tests. These tests can drive me mad. I don't know if you've experienced it before, where you don't know which way to go, and it brings up lots of stuff inside of you. I don't judge that anymore. Our spouses may, and that's their job. That's fair, because they have to deal with it in a sense. But the instability of the body or spirit trying to find itself and figure out where to go, I don't know a better way to put it, I think is actually an awesome teacher.
Yeah, I have to say, so a couple months ago, I taught this workshop on reinvention. And the idea behind teaching that class was teach a class in the fall, and then in during January through March, offer a series of classes afterwards that are related to about reinvention, but teach a class in the fall and see how it goes. And I did it, and I literally just talked to someone. I had 2 clients from that workshop and a bunch of people who wanted to do more work. So it was successful, which was great. But then I thought, I don't even know why I'm doing this anymore because I just have too much work in January. If I'm supposed to be still, I just like put this work and this other work the small business thing. It's just, if I can find a way to combine them possibly, but still I have too much work on my plate. And I thought, I just don't know the answer. And I haven't known the answer since that workshop was in October, middle of October. And I'm waiting to find out the answer. And I still don't know the answer. And until I know the answer, I'm not going to do anything.
Bingo.
I mean, people were coming to me and I'm like, okay, still don't know the answer. And when I know the answer, like, yes, I need to do this, and I will move forward. But right now, I don't know the answer. And so in the Taoist don't know mindset and in the spiritual mindset, if it's not your ego, is it, so here would be one way. This is one way of testing the ego. If it's a part of me that says, oh, well, you told people you're going to do that, so you got to do this now. That's like an ego thing. Or you should do this because it makes logical sense to do this because you're doing this other workshop and you can use this as it. And it's like, nope, those are all ego things. When I know that this is something I need to do, I will just find myself typing on the computer and it will happen. And so I'm kind of trusting that that's when it will be. And it may not be for a while. It may be a couple of months. It may never come along, in which case it wasn't meant to be.
I interviewed a guest earlier today, Marissa Peer. She's a famous hypnotherapist, worked with a lot of Hollywood stars. And she talked about one of the things that separates a very successful person from everybody else is delayed gratification. And that doesn't mean that they torture themselves by saying, here's the lollipop, but you don't get to have it yet. You don't get to have it yet. What they mean is that they're willing to wait and not see time as I need it now, this moment, or else I may never get it. But realize time doesn't work that way. There's a lot more time for that to take place and to let things move forward. Lots of diligence, taking steps on a daily basis, taking action on a daily basis, doing the things we don't like to do and even front loading them, but being willing to wait for that right moment for that thing to take place or occur or to chase us down.
Well, my son, a perfect segue to that is my son applied early decision and early action to probably 4 different schools.
Yeah.
And his very first choice, he got the notice and he did not get into his first choice. It got deferred, which means that he has to wait until April.
Yeah.
And so he was very, very disappointed. I mean, not like, catastrophic, but he was disappointed. And then he got the early actions, and he literally got 3 for 3. Every single school he
Wow.
applied to, he got into, and they're very competitive schools. So he was just, that helped him kind of like level the disappointment with some like happiness. And we thought about applying. He thought about applying early decision to another school, and he said, "No, let's just wait until April."
Wow.
And sometimes you think, well, sometimes there's a delay for a reason. Like it may be between now and April, he'll get clear with whether he wants to go to a small liberal arts school or a medium-sized school, of which right now he's not clear with. But maybe in April, when he has to finally make a decision, he just got a 4 or 5 month like 4 or 5 month time period to wait to get clear with what his decision is. And that time period will mean a world of difference. And I can tell you from my eldest son, by the time January, he heard in January and then he waited in April, he wanted different things in April than he wanted in January, because when you're this young, so many things change. And I think that's true probably whatever age that you're in. If you just let things simmer, just like some foods, they become softer, more delicious, more savory. And I think that, I don't know, I think that I'm a very impatient person, but I'm learning the virtues of patience and waiting. It's hard to do,
And I
but I'm
used to
learning.
be very impatient, and now I go slow and challenge myself to go slower. And even if I know I got this beautiful yellow jacket, who would have thunk? Yellow jacket, beautiful Obermeyer skiing jacket. It was at the store. I hadn't gone in I knew I was in the market for a jacket, but I hadn't gone in for that at all. Saw it, and I'm like, oh, that feels like it's the one. And Jessica's like, that's a little bit too old school. And so I'm like, oh. And so I
Oh,
said, well, I'm going to wait and see what happens. And I left and I waited and I waited. And Jessica, actually, I think she went to Mexico during this time, or New Jersey, one of these places. And about 5 days in, I'm like, I need that jacket. And I went back there and I'm like, do you still have it? And they're like, yes. And I was like, woohoo! And I got it and I absolutely love it. She's actually stolen it now because she decided she likes it. She's like, actually, it's got kind of a race car look. I now like it. And with whatever changes took place in her body during her early part of pregnancy, and what took place in the Joe Dispenza retreat with her broadening her shoulders, heart more opened, she's not fitting her clothes now. And
no.
because her shoulders are so much wider, so she's stolen my jacket. The ultimate irony.
That's hilarious. I think I talked to you a couple weeks ago when I went to I grabbed my wedding dress from my mom because I
Yeah.
decided I've been keeping it for some unknown reason. And you know what? I can't fit into it. And it's not, I'm sure there are other pieces that are tight, but the part that literally is the gaping thing
Shoulders.
is my shoulders. Because once I had babies, your shoulders get wider.
It's driving. She's like, what is going on here? She's like, all of my deck. Because she told me the week before she went to Mexico or something. She said, finally, for the first time in my life, I never expected to be here. I don't need another item for my wardrobe. I have a beautiful selection. I'm really happy with what I have. She came back from Mexico and she's like, nothing's fitting me now. Nothing.
Because her shoulders got
Yes,
broader.
her
Your
shoulders got
shoulders
broader.
get broader. Your hips get broader.
Mhm.
And then your feet get bigger. My feet went up. I used to be a 6 and a 6.5. Now I'm 7.5.
Wow.
Because because you have all that weight and you
Mhm.
have that, you have some type, I can't remember, I think it's called elastin in your body, and everything kind of stretches because it's ready for the baby, and everything kind of stretches. So when the baby's head comes through, you can like a rubber band.
Stretch.
So your whole body has this floating through. So everything just gets bigger. So you have this heavy weight, 40 pounds more pressing down in your feet. So I went from 6.5 to 7.5. So some stuff like I went into the I went in wearing like 7.5 shoes, or maybe 8, and I left, and the shoes were like wearing like big floppy clown shoes because a lot of it was water weight that just when I had the baby went away. But some of it just stayed. Like my back, this whole back, like it's your shoulders, it's your chest cavity, and your hips all spread. It sucks.
So rather than buying a car, I may be investing in her wardrobe coming up.
Yes. Well, and who knows? Because what happens during the New Year's is that I think a lot of car dealerships try to clear stuff off the lot because they're trying to get the new cars in. So that's when you can get really good deals. I don't know about the tax piece, but maybe the tax piece is less relevant if you can get a much cheaper price because of the calendar year ending. I don't know.
We may find out until I hear. So when I say until I hear, meaning I'm usually really good at this, but I know to be aware in very big decisions, and a car is a relatively big decision, that ego can sneak in even when you think you can hear very clearly what's ego and what's not. I can only speak for myself. I've done a lot of work on discerning, and I can't be perfectly clear on this one, which means to me, even though there's a clock ticking, you have to take action. In fact, the more the clock ticks, rather than me having a desire to take action, I start hitting the brakes more and get resistant, saying, I am not going to take action until a giant flag, an airplane flies overhead with a banner, so to speak, and says, Michael. And I did have a minor banner this week. It was fascinating.
Yeah.
There are 3 Tesla dealerships in Denver. There's, I don't know how many salespeople there are in each dealership. Call around to the dealerships, find a salesperson who I'm going to work with, just by universe, puts me in touch with a salesperson, speak with a car wrap place to find out how much a wrap is. And they say, oh, we just wrapped a Tesla in yellow. And I said, wow. And they said, we can send you pictures of this. I'm like, cool. Speak to the sales rep. And he goes, yeah, my customer yesterday just wrapped his vehicle in yellow. Out of all the dealerships and all the salespeople, he was the one, and I had contacted one wrap place and one salesperson. And I'm like, that's interesting. I'm not going to say that's enough of a sign but it is interesting to watch. This is a dream world,
right?
It's a dream world. It's fun to look. I have no idea. We'll watch all these little pieces.
Is it the kind of yellow that you like? Did you look at the car? Is it the kind of yellow you like?
I've surprisingly the whatchamacallit, the pictures haven't come over yet, but I've looked at some online. People have wrapped it, and it is the yellow that I like. Who knows?
Well, maybe what will happen is that car, they're like, I don't like that yellow, and then they'll have to sell that car, and you'll be like, I'll buy it.
You never know. Well, that's it.
You just don't know.
We take life too seriously.
But here's the thing. When you see stuff like that, it's unclear, right? Like I'm talking about the guy, this woman that I met said, you should call that guy up and reserve time in that studio. And I said, I don't know. I don't think so. I just have too much time. I have too much things on my plate, too many things on my plate. And I'm trying to like cut things off my plate. So adding things onto my plate does not make sense. And then boom, there is that guy.
But like me, we don't know. We still need more clarity. It's for a reason. It's clear this synchronicity took place with me for a reason. He appeared in your life for a reason. But now we get to, rather than rev the gas and immediately say, oh, that means this, I better buy right now. Oh, this means I better dive in and record, even though that's really not what I want to do right now, to do a live show. Instead, we step back and say, all right, what could this mean? And for myself, if I look going past the car, I want to reflect right now. What a time to reflect. It's dark outside to draw us inward. So
and that's what the going inward with the darkness, is that what you're doing?
Yeah, it's perfect. So I don't know, forgive me if I told this story last week of Hanukkah and the 8 days of oil that burned and this candle. So in old school Old Testament, in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, I guess it is. I'm butchering the story. Please forgive me, everybody. And the Romans, I think, have taken over Jerusalem or something like that. And the Jews go in and they have enough oil in the lamp to burn for one night. to illuminate the darkness for one night at the darkest time of year, solstice. That's where we're at. But the miracle is it stays lit for 8 days and 8 nights, illuminating the darkness. We get the Hanukkah menorah. It's interesting, illuminating the darkness. We get Christmas lights. We're all putting up these lights to bring light to the darkness. And I think the greatest light we find is diving inward right now, to take this time and say, it's dark outside, so yes, I could go play outside. And as we're speaking, a snowstorm, small snowstorm that's coming tonight has just started. It's kind of cool. Yes, we could go play outside during the darkness, but it's even more important to use that darkness, to follow the natural cycle of the earth and draw ourselves inward. And reflect. That's the light. Reflect back. What was 2018 like for me? Where did I start? We started in Emerald Isle. We were talking about Jessica's visited Colorado. We're going to be moving to Colorado someday. All of this stuff. And envisioning, or first look back over the year, all of the transformation that takes place. It's great to even write it out. Do some exercises. Gentle. This isn't the time to work hard. This isn't the time to coast hard. So look at what your year was like. Then look at where you'd like to go for the year ahead and really dream about this stuff. And then I would add an additional piece, which is do some healing over 2018. I can only speak for myself. There's scar tissue from this year. and so go to emotion code or tapping or whatever your favorite tool is for you, rather than spending all the time on Amazon or shopping or even, God forbid, trying to figure out this car stuff. Instead, do healing work on yourself to get yourself sort of like, well, it's a great, in Japan, at the end of the year, people are known to take all of their possessions out and put them on the street and clean their whole house out before then bringing back in what they want to keep with them for the new year. In essence, they get light. We can do that literally by giving stuff away this time of year, but we can also do that metaphorically, or actually literally on the spirit, on the energetic side, by doing different techniques to get ourselves light so we come in refreshed and renewed for the year ahead.
Yeah, I just did every year Jean Hainer, which I don't know if you've ever interviewed her.
No.
She does something on Chinese face reading. So she can literally look at your facial features. And I took a class where I could literally look at your facial features and be able to tell what element is predominant in just by looking at your face. And then she does, based on the year, date, and birth of, she can actually look at Chinese. It's called the 9-star key. And the idea is that there are different, there's different energies that are present during the time that you're born, and you go through a 9-year cycle based on it. So I started off in water, and then I went into like water, I think it was earth, 2 different types of wood, another type of earth, or maybe it's like wood, or no, it must be water, wood, earth, and then now I'm coming into metal. And so this is my metal year. But I think how she describes this year is perfect for this particular season, because you've actually, have your harvest, you have all the food, you have your bounty from the whole year. You've had a whole year's worth of energy, effort, and to pull in all of your wonderful harvest and just take a look at it and, figure out, like, just appreciate the harvest. So looking at your year and going, wow, like, I just, like, your year is phenomenal. Like, the drive with the U-Haul, the flood, the 2 houses that you went through when you were in Innis Arden, the floods.
I forgot about the flood.
The drive through your U-Haul.
Yeah.
Jessica going on just a gut feeling that you would find a place in Colorado. You putting on a picture that is exactly where your place ends up being.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just, It's just like freaking unbelievable. Like it's just this beautiful, full, rich year full of magic. So you can look at that year and say, wow, that's pretty magical. And I know you have some hardship too, right? You had a baby that you lost. And so there's, the hardship of keeping the harvest, letting go
Mm.
of other things. And so definitely the healing part, um, I think is the part, to keep the love and let go of, maybe what you thought things were going to look like.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so there's that process of the fall, which is what you do during the fall. But before you jump into winter, um, kind of just appreciating everything that has happened over the year, which I have to take the same advice. Like I haven't sat back and thought, well, what has happened during this year? And just having a grand appreciation for the many blessings that have happened, to myself, my family, to my life, to the earth. There's lots of things that are hard and there's lots of things that are wonderful, but
Mm.
taking all of it and breathing it all in and then just seeing the magic within it. I just took this meditation class last week. And the best thing that I learned in this class was like you basically take the as wide as you can field. So I see like things in my peripheral vision. I see things in the front and just like breathe it all in. And then just tune into the energy. Like there's lights, there's colors, there's plants outside, there's beauty. It's like, oh
There's
my God, like you
snow.
can just you get like like it's kind of like electrifying because it's like a miracle. It's a miracle that, there's light, like
Mhm.
these beautiful lights, there's beautiful plants and trees. Like I'm talking to you. It's like you breathe in and appreciate that and then what you say is there's no boundary between myself and these things. Like
Mhm.
this is I am one with all of life. There's no boundaries. Even if you listen to the sound, you can hear no sound within the sound. There's this emptiness and expansiveness, and that was one of the best things. So every now and then when I'm walking, I'm just, and I remember that I'm
Mm.
here, 'cause it's so easy. It's actually so wonderful because during Christmas,
Mhm.
it is the best time to do this. You just inhale, and it's like if you inhale stardust, there's like these beautiful, like I was walking through the grocery store, going up an escalator, and it smelled awful. But I thought, okay, bring it
But
in.
you're still inhaling stardust.
I just like smelled it in and I was like, this is part of what you do. And I looked up and there was this beautiful Christmas wreath. It was probably about 5 feet in diameter.
Wow.
And I just thought, look at that Christmas wreath that has like a big, gigantic red bow. And like someone went and put all these like pine cones on it, and there's these a sparkly gold ornament and a silver. I mean, this is like the best time if you want to breathe in joy and magic. It's just around us all the time. So if you can just, even in my nauseous, miserable, tired state, I have been every now and then, and it's not like I'm there all the time, but if you can just take a moment when you're sitting and just breathe in how fabulous the world is, because it really is. It's just taking the time to notice,
It
from
is.
like rushing and I've got to do this and I've got to go check off that and I've got to get stuff for the stockings and then kind of, oh my God. It's hard to do during this time of year, but it's actually one of the best times of years to do it.
Well, it's an interesting dichotomy, which is it's hard to get centered and pause this time of the year the way things are set up with the holidays. But I feel it's actually essential to step back and pause during this time of year. Let the holidays illuminate things. Let them bring us up. Let them guide the shift into the new energy. Because right now, I am personally coming in coasting on fumes. 1,000+ shows in, haven't taken a break, and I'm like, oh my gosh, CJ. On the other hand, And I feel we all feel that, but we get hyped up to get this thing done, to get the shopping done. It actually feels in some sense like we're grinding the gears,
Right.
trying to get stuff done.
Yeah.
But then after Christmas or on Christmas, starting forward, that last week, it's not the week of productivity. It's how much can I just slow down in this time period? Yes, there'll be a post-Christmas this sale or a that sale or a who knows what. But more important than that, can I draw inward right now? Can I
Mm-hmm.
recharge the batteries? Can I put more fuel in the tank? It's interesting, trees this time of year. It looks like nothing's going on with trees. We had this
Mm-hmm.
amazing guest on last year, Peter Wohleben, has a book, The Secret Life of Trees. And in the winter, what's actually happening with the trees is their roots are swelling, filling with water for the year ahead. So above it looks like nothing's going on, but they're pulling everything inward. They're pulling all of the moisture in. Everything that, even if it just has a hint of melting, draws it all inward. And so there's a lot of work going on beneath the scenes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what we get to do right now, to draw inward. So you look at your Christmas through New Year's calendar. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to be at the ski hill here. I got to. What can we do to actually build space into that, to build time to like have non-activity time, scheduled non-activity time, because in our society that's not necessarily rewarded, and so we actually have to guard it with our lives, because so many of us will get extremely fatigued from our vacations.
Well, I remember interviewing a couple years ago Jonathan Robinson. You probably have interviewed him. He's a relationship expert, and he's written a whole bunch of books. And he said during Christmas, as I recall, it was something along the lines of like, I just shut everything down. I don't call anyone. I don't talk. I don't go out. I just go into the forest and walk in the snow. Something along this lines. I don't even see anyone. Like he just takes a completely reclusive or almost reclusive Christmas, and he just shuts it all down and goes inward. So he completely lives from that. Can I make one edit to the thing that you said, or addition? Is that
Of course.
I think it's the stillness, but then not an editor, an addition. So
Well,
I was reading
last year we were doing addendums and then addendums on addendums, and then we were addenduming each other. So I consider it an addendum, and I reserve the right to append your addendum.
Okay, so here I was reading a book for my teacher, and he was saying, joy is the state in which we are created. We're created in joy.
Amen.
Life is created in a state of joy. And what happens is when we have all this ego and all this other stuff built up, we forget that there's joy that is inherent it's in our birth was joy. Mm-hmm. And somehow we lose track of the joy. And so I think it's the stillness. And then within that stillness, once you actually go in, and I'm trying to get there. I'm not teaching. I'm just telling you what I've been told. I can tell you that when I do this on occasion, it's true. So I go into the stillness, and then I tune into the stillness, and I drop into the stillness until it's like in a deep reservoir in my body, and I feel the stillness. And then I go even deeper into the center of that stillness. And then when I feel like I'm in the center of the stillness, I go into the center of that stillness.
Wow.
And I just keep on going deeper and deeper and deeper. And then you reach a point where there's just light. It's just like a fire show. And your whole body just fills with light. And you think, oh, is that the joy that they're talking about? But within, like, if you just keep on going inward and inward and inward, and this happens on occasion, and it's not like I'm like blissed out. It's like for like literally a nanosecond. It's because sometimes I'm like, oh, is that light? And then boom, gone. But if I can just relax into that light going, and a couple times I'm like, yes, that is light, and just like, and then I just go in, and I find that light, and I just sit like a mushroom in that light. It just feels glorious. So within that stillness is joy.
Mhm.
And so that's why we go into the stillness, it's to find the joy within it. So it's not just being quiet, because I think it's really hard when we're in a society of like, oh, where's your mom? Blah, 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 like, and you're trying to go outward to find the joy. Like, I'm going to get just the right present for that person, or I hope I get that present for me. It's like you're looking at things outside of yourself for joy. And then when you recognize that if you're still, you can find that joy within yourself. Hallelujah, man.
That's one of the funny things. Bring you back, strangely enough, car to joy about shopping is I look at the car and then I ask, what do I need that for? Is it truly going to bring me anything, or is it all on the inside? And it's a very interesting place when you realize that the things that we use in a sense to self-medicate, to make ourselves feel better, these external things, when it's not the external thing anymore, you've reframed a whole perspective around it, and it's kind of a mind bender.
Mm-hmm. I said, I was talking to my teacher, and I said, well, you're supposed to live to 100. He had a psychic tell me he was going to live to 100. And I said, well, and he got about being very sick. And I said, weren't you scared that you were going to die and not, reach 100 because your psychic told me? He's like, there is no difference between, it's just a shift in state. I mean, I'm still in heaven. It's kind of like I'm still in this
Well, he's
blissful
still
joy
alive.
state. And like whether I'm alive or dead, he's like, there's no difference between life and death, because if you are so still like he is and awakened like he is, then there really is no difference. It's just a shift in state, so whether you're 100 years old, 50 years old, 10 years old, you're all energy. And you're like, I mean, I just sat there thinking about that. Like he said that during lunch, and I was like, no, wait a second. Wait, let me think about that. It just blew my head open.
I'm trying to pull up a beautiful quote here, and I'm going to see if I get it from an amazing interview.
Okay.
I can't recommend her enough. Christina Rasmussen. I'm guessing you already have her booked if you haven't had her on with the book, Where Did You Go?
Oh, yes. Okay. I have her coming up.
So had a feeling about that. And I'm not sure if I'm going to find the quote. It's
While you're
something to
looking,
the
I need to look for the power of reframing too, and elk and jumping. We haven't touched a lot upon your
well,
things.
we're gonna have to touch on this stuff
2
quickly.
mounts.
We only die in someone else's reality, not in ours. When we pass away, all we're doing is going through a door. As best as I can tell, as best as my limited experience,
Yeah.
But we don't actually die. We our energy in a different form continues. Who we are continues to those around us. We've passed away, so there is no death to ourselves.
Yeah. That's what he was essentially saying. No body, but like I'm still there.
Yeah, exactly.
No, he was indifferent. He was literally indifferent between, and I thought,
See, and
"Pow!"
I still have the attachment to Jessica, for instance. That's my greatest attachment. That's between you and me and everybody listening. That's the only reason I'm still here, is because when I had my second NDE, I chose Jessica by my side, and we'd been talking baby, which is now like 5-6 years later. But I'm like, oh, hell no, not my time.
Yeah.
So there is that attachment. And I don't know for myself if that attachment would ever go away. I don't know that I'd actually want it to go away. I'll accept. It's sort of like me going from Maui to New Jersey. I feel like doing the Rodney Dangerfield. No offense, but well, when I was on Maui, I'm going not New Jersey, not New Jersey, not New Jersey, knowing that when I finally moved to New Jersey, and there's a whole story of us being flattened and ending up having to go to New Jersey to her family's home, but that I would embrace that. And so it may be that I'm saying, no, I don't wish to let go of this attachment someday when it's my time to move on. If I go before her, and I certainly hope, she's younger than me, that it would be either even time or, I don't even want to go there, but you get what I'm saying.
I do.
but that I'm not sure I want to. I guess maybe at the last moment I want to let go and embrace the let going of attachment, but I'm okay with holding on to the illusion of the attachment until that last moment. Not New Jersey, not New Jersey. And then when I flit over to the other side, being life is great here too.
Yep. Yeah. Who knows? We don't know because we're alive.
Bingo.
We'll, I'll see you on the other side.
All right.
When that happens, we'll talk on the
We'll,
other
we'll,
side.
we'll keep the show going from the other side. I like it.
All right, we have 5 minutes before your coaching client. How do you want to wrap up? You have so many things that we didn't talk about. I'm sorry.
Oh, the elk in the backyard is just, this place is just magical. And yesterday I was coaching, I guess it was coaching, interview, something, and 25 elk. They're bigger, much bigger than deer, showed up in my backyard within a few feet by the rose bush right outside of my studio window. And it was just such a gift and so much of a bring you back to the present moment. Nature is a disruptor of the ego, a disruptor of the mind, and that will draw you inward because it stops you from thinking. You're not looking at the elk going, well, would you look at that? You're just like,
oh no, that's the same thing. I was like, saw an eagle. Horses. I was like, blah, 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 eagle.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. All right, jumping madness. So it has occurred to me that, and Jessica and I just did this workout yesterday at the gym where I started this fall with my coach pretending to jump rope for I think 30 seconds is all we wanted to start with the first week, then 3 times 30 seconds the second week, and then going on and on and on. We did a near 40-minute jumping activity with jumping boxes. Several couple feet in the air, jumping to the side, up to one side of the box, down to the other, back and back and back and back and back and back, jump, 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 knees up into chest, jump, 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 for almost 40 minutes straight.
Michael, wow.
My back and neck are a little bit sore today, which is okay. The reframing, and I really want to challenge everybody to look at making 2019 the year of reframing everything in your lives. I'm so happy at how sore I got. I can't believe I did this. I couldn't do this as a kid. I got, my fun little titanium parts and stuff inside of me.
Yes.
I could never, ever, 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 ever have done this before in my life. And so I am literally, in ways, the strongest I have ever been. And it's dumbfounding to me.
Wow.
That I've
who would have thought at your age now that you'd be the strongest in your entire life when you were like a world-class Olympic athlete?
I couldn't have jumped like this. It would have broken me. It would have broken me. And that gets to the 2 mountains for the price of one. I got these racing snowshoes. We talked about it. 2 weeks ago, I tried it the first time, ran up to the top of the ski mountain, came down. This past Saturday, I ran up to the top of the ski mountain, went down to the backside where there's another ski resort, went back up to the top, and then back down the front side. And I am just blowing myself away. And I'm not saying that as an ego, look at how good I am. I just didn't realize I couldn't do it anymore. And nobody said, well, you're not going to be able to. As a kid, I loved to run up hills, but I didn't do it much because I had parts removed from my knee. There's no ACL. I was told you couldn't run, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. And I believe those limitations.
Wow.
Those limitations don't exist anymore.
Wow. Wow, that's huge. What a beautiful metaphor. Wow, that's a huge thing.
I have cried tears on the mountain.
You had what?
I have cried tears on the mountain.
Wow, that is just beautiful because there's this kind of like, I can't do this anymore. And then you just didn't know how it was going to come about. And it came through these skis, of which you had to go through 3 different levels of skis until you found the right ski.
Well, I've gone with just the snowshoes. I haven't even gotten this. So the skis would make it easy to ski down. I'm actually running down the hill on the snowshoes.
Oh my gosh.
I never thought I would be able to run down a ski resort. So, and it is just, there's little rooster tails coming off the back of your snowshoes of the snow flying up. And I go, I can't believe I'm doing this. And I'm less sore each time that I do it. But I, quote, shouldn't be able to do it. And I certainly shouldn't be able to do it now. And I'm just scratching the surface. And that's for all of us, if you forget that, that there are these limits, and the limits aren't real, they're what we've been taught by society, what we've been taught by the quote experts, but there's no other expert of you than you. You're the
Mhm.
only one who knows you.
Yeah,
And
don't listen to it. Don't
no,
listen to it. That's what I've been telling my son. He's like, "Well, blah, 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 blah." I'm like, "No, don't listen to it. If it's what you want to do, something will happen." It's happened to me every single time, and I don't know why it wouldn't happen to you. Just have to believe that's
woohoo,
possible.
all sore.
Woo! Now you've got to go coaching.
So, I'm
Any
looking
final
forward to
words?
it. I'm looking forward to it. It's my last coaching, second to last coaching session, I believe, of 2018. And so looking forward to it. And we're actually full for a month or two out in 2019 for coaching. It's wild. So, last words. God, this can be the most special year of your life. And I don't mean special in terms of success. It can be that in terms of happiness. It can be that in terms of anything. It can be that. It can just be the most special by whatever switch you flip for the new year, whatever that means to you. So draw yourself inward right now. Even though the whole world is pulling you outward for this sale, for this activity, for this party, for this whatever, draw yourself inward. Reflect, dive deep, and I'm going to steal what your teacher said. Go to the, what would it be, the center?
Yeah,
And then,
go to the center of the stillness, and you'll find joy.
woohoo, you are in for your greatest year ever. We send all our love. I love you, CJ. I love everyone out there. CJ, I'm guessing you love everyone out there.
I love you, and I love everyone out there. So much gratitude.
Final words for the year. Woohoo! Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also, leave your comments. Have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!